So our gospel this evening is used to explain a moral teaching of the church that we call the principle of subsidiarity. The goal is to fix a problem or a potential problem at the most local level first. As Christ says, talk to the person first, then bring witnesses, and then bring in the church to fix the problem. Now, in school, I use this gospel to teach the kids that Jesus doesn't like tattletales. If you see a friend doing something that they shouldn't be doing, you don't run to the teacher and tell on your friend. That's not what Jesus is telling us to do in our gospel. Jesus also doesn't tell us to call the friend out in front of the whole class. Jesus tells us rather to go to the friend first in private, explain that what they're doing is wrong, and that you're willing to help them change their ways. If that doesn't work, then you bring others with you to help make your point. And when that doesn't work, then you go to your teacher, the principal, etc., etc. You see, the principle of subsidiarity is important because it respects the dignity of the human person. The other, who is doing something that they shouldn't be doing, matters enough to be talked to and corrected. When the other doesn't matter, we skip over them and go somewhere else. And this is not helpful, especially when we want to build trust or promote equal human dignity. When we skip over people or ignore them completely, and we continue to go over their head, then we're telling that person they're not important and that they don't matter. And this is not how disciples of Jesus treat each other. Unfortunately, we see this all the time on social media. Someone posts an article or a video or just their own opinion, and instead of sending a private message or texting the person or even making an attempt to speak to them in person, socially distant, of course, too many people decide to publicly ridicule the person in their comment section. Worse, they'll even share that original post with their own commentary attached to it that ends up defaming or ridiculing the original poster. Now, we're all entitled to our opinions and our feelings, but we do not have the right, as disciples of Jesus, to be unkind to others. About a year ago, I received a private message from a good friend of mine that really kind of caught me off guard. Another Dominic, that was not me, that she's friends with on her Facebook, had posted something unkind towards our Muslim brothers and sisters. Now, instead of making her disagreement known to the whole internet, she decided to send a very kind, intelligent, and challenging message in response to that post. She just sent it to the wrong Dominic. Now, while I never saw the original post, because I'm not friends with that person, I very much appreciated my friend's use of the principle of subsidiarity and how loving she was in her response. Unfortunately, this is not something that I witness regularly on social media. It's something that we need to be better at and something we should be leading by example. Now, we always have to start from a place of love. As November gets closer, all of the medias, both social and non, are going to become increasingly divisive and annoying. We must start and end at a place of love. When your neighbor or family member or your college classmate you haven't seen in 30 years posts something on social media that you disagree with, your first response should always be, I love you. I respect you. I want you to be a saint. Ask yourself with the virtue of prudence, is a response needed? Does the response need to come from me? And do I have to be the one to respond right now? When you're able to answer yes to all three of those questions, then follow Jesus. Respond in private first, out of a place of love. I don't care how annoying, obnoxious, or seemingly racist, or bigoted, or unkind the original post may be. We are no better if we respond in an unkind, unloving, or hurtful way. We have to do as St. Paul tells us in our first reading, to love our neighbor as ourself. For love is the fulfillment of the law. Now, no one has ever said that it's easy being a disciple of Jesus. And if anyone made you believe that following Jesus is easy, you got lied to your face. We're called to love our enemies. We're called to pray for our persecutors. We are called to take up our cross and follow Jesus. We are called to die so that we can rise from the dead. We're called to be kind and loving, especially when faced with unkindness and even hatred. Friends, let's set the example together. Let's use these coming weeks of political nonsense as a way of showing that we can be kind, to practice what Jesus is asking of us. Let's all respond in love to our neighbor, for love is the fulfillment of the law.